One of the most iconic and most heard guitar sounds of all time is probably that created by the Dallas Rangemaster. This has been around since the 1960s and you have heard it on countless big records from that time period. Over the years, plenty of companies have put their own spin on the Rangemaster design, and in this video today I'm going to be showing you another take on that. This is from the guys at Hello Sailor Effects, and this is the Fuzzy Rangemaster. Hello Sailor Effects are a British boutique pedal company run by a guy called Joe. It's a really small company, it's actually just Joe doing everything at the company. And Hello Sailor Effects have a theme through all of their pedals. Whatever you look at from their range, there's going to be a nautical or a military-based theme to everything they do. And that's because Joe has been in the Royal Navy for over 20 years. Now as such, a lot of these pedals are actually built when he's on deployment at sea. And that often leads to him using some quite strange or quirky parts to build pedals, things that he kind of finds on his travels, which is really cool because nothing he ever builds is exactly the same. You always get something a little different. And that means you always end up with something quite unique, which is really inspiring because that means you end up with something that is quite unique to you and perhaps no one else in the world can get that sound. So this particular pedal is Joe's take on the Rangemaster, but with a bit of a fuzzy edge added to it as well. Joe's a huge fan of Rangemaster pedals and Rangemasters in general, so this is a really fun take on that classic design. So before I plug this thing in and tell you all about it and you hear what it sounds like, I want to let you guys know that this is not a sponsored video today. Hello Sailor Effects are not paying me to make this video. Joe did build and send me this pedal, but he sent it to me just to get my opinion on it because he wanted me to try out some of the stuff and let him know what I thought. There was no expectation around me getting this pedal for a video. I'm basically just making a video because I like this. I want to show you guys what this sounds like, and I want to help my friend out by spreading the word of his company. He's not paying me to do this, and he doesn't even know that I'm making this video. The first time he finds out about this is when this video goes live. As always, all the thoughts and opinions in the video are my own. Now, one thing you will notice about Hello Sailor Effects is their pedals always look quite quirky. If you saw my recent video on his Shipwreck distortion, which is linked in the top corner now, you'll notice that was also quite an unusual looking pedal. This is absolutely no different. It's a really cool angled enclosure covered in this purple snakeskin, single knob, and a decal of a London bus, because why not? And honestly, there's not really a lot to even tell you spec-wise with this because it's one knob. That knob just controls the volume, the gain. It's sort of, you know, the boost, whichever way you want to put it. The more we turn this up, the louder and harder this thing goes. So on the back, there's a little bit of information there, as you can see. It has a Texas Instruments BC213C silicon transistor in there. So it kind of verges on a silicon fuzz when you really start to push it. You can see there it's his rough, fuzzy edge Rangemaster. That's what Joe calls it. So it's like a Rangemaster with a little bit extra bite at the top end. In and out jacks on the top, 9-volt DC. That's kind of it. With Joe's pedals, because a lot of them are, you know, built while he's at sea and uses all kinds of quirky parts, a lot of the interiors of these things look incredible. So I'm going to put some shots up on the screen right now of what this thing looks like inside. He often uses tag board, and there's a lot of point-to-point stuff going on. It's real boutique stuff. He builds everything by hand, one at a time. So yeah, you're going to see some inside shots of this now and see how cool this thing looks. But yeah, that's kind of it. So I'm going to plug this in now and we'll hear some tones. Alright, so gear-wise in this video, I'm using my early 1980s Tokai Strat style guitar. This is plugged into the Blackstar Studio 10 6L6, which is running completely clean. I'm going to switch to an overdriven amp later on in the video so you can see how the pedal reacts into the front of an overdriven amp as well. And the amp is going into the 2-notes Torpedo Captor X. So the clean tone I'm going to be using sounds like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the pedal on, and obviously, as you can see, there's only one knob, so there's not really a ton of things we can tweak, and I'm just going to increase the gain or the boost control until we hit the maximum range so you can hear how this reacts. The higher this goes, the fuzzier it gets. Now with this particular pedal, we have a unity gain point which is around this sort of 10 or 11 o'clock mark. Anything lower than this, when I actually play, you don't really get much signal out. It's quite quiet. Unity gain is around about here. So that's around the point where we start getting a usable signal. So I'm just going to play from that point and just boost the control so you can hear what happens. So obviously as we go to the upper ranges of the control, it brings in a little bit of noise as well because we're actually pushing quite a lot here. The volume increases quite a bit. It does hit the amp quite hard. So I think that sounds great with single coil pickups because it really flattens the sound. Now I'm going to switch to a humbucker guitar so we can hear how this reacts into a clean amp with humbuckers. So now I've gone over to my PJD Guitars St. John Standard. This has a humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck. Same thing now, I've reset the Rangemaster to around unity gain. I'm going to turn that on and go through the range of the control. All right, so now I've switched back to the Strat style guitar and I've changed amps now. Now I'm running through the Blackstar HT20 Mark III, which is on the Overdrive channel. That's still running through the 2-Notes Torpedo Captor X. So I've got like a medium kind of crunchy gain sound, which sounds like this. So a nice fat gain sound to start boosting. Now what's going to happen here is we're going to get a very different result from the Rangemaster. It's still going to give us gain and a bit of that fuzzy edge, but now we're going to be boosting the amp with it. So it's going to bring the amp to a real nice fat saturation. So again, lots of fuzz, lots of noise there when we have that on, because we're pushing a lot of gain from this into an already driven amp. All right, so same thing again, back to the humbucker guitar. The overdriven amp sounds like this. Now I'm going to play, turn the Rangemaster on and move through the range of the control. So there's a ton of fuzz that actually creeps in with the humbuckers. The humbuckers actually hit this a little harder, which actually makes it kind of compress and break up a bit more. I really noticed that when I was playing it into the clean amp as well, that this was compressing a lot more with humbuckers than with single coils. But yeah, there it is. There is the Hello Sailor Effects take on the classic Rangemaster with a bit of fuzz and a bit of a rough edge thrown in for good measure. What a fun pedal. I love the way that Joe builds pedals and that he does some quite quirky and unique stuff to them just gives you something a little bit different that you don't get from any other pedal brand. So if you want to check out what Hello Sailor Effects are doing, there's some links down below in the description. He's got a couple of other Rangemasters already currently on his web store, so please check those out. He builds everything in basically individual batches rather than small batches, so each pedal is slightly unique. So if you're looking for something specific, give him a message and he'll be able to kind of point you in the right direction of what would suit what you need. But yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comments about the sounds of this thing. I really like it. It's a fun sound, it's different, it's inspiring, and yeah, it's not your typical classic Rangemaster sound, which in itself is still a really cool sound, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a variation to the classics. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. While you're doing that, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching as always.